Welcome back, comrades. This is Gaming with Austin, and today we are on episode 73 of season 2 of the Utopian community series. Whilst making a video, the previous episode, suddenly the video was cut short. All of a sudden. If you're making a gaming video, that is about 30 minutes long. It's a good idea to check on it to make sure you don't good. Now I gotta finish this area of the floor. Now, we are gonna, and after that, I'd finish what's left, after that, after I finished all the floors, I'd go towards putting water on all of the floors, on the remaining floors. You know, the problem, once all the spaces have been filled up, sometimes you might see some stuttering. That's okay. Sometimes you might see a bit of stuttering. That's okay. You know, when you see people be greedy, you know, the problem with those with a super greater need for food is that they're more inclined to steal. That is because they have a greater need for food. Imagine you have a group of cats and you give them raw meat. The one with the greatest need for food is the one that is more inclined to take control of the food source. The ones with the greatest, the one with the greatest need to eat would take control of the food source. You know, in Norway, people are happier with their tax dollars, because instead of it being spent on the military, it is spent on things that are needed. What America needs to do is cut down their military budget along with the rest of the world, because we need to achieve world peace. Make sure there are no more wars. Food shortage can cause geopolitical rivalries too. To ensure that we stay at peace, we gotta make sure there's enough food for everybody. Like, to meet all our physiological needs. Not just you, but everybody. If I was to help create a commune in Florida, the reason I'd pick Florida is because pretty swampy. It's pretty swampy. Florida's basically a swamp. Like, Florida's nothing but a swamp. I like to call Florida a swamp. Because much of it is close to sea level. You know, some more violent behaviors in it. Especially with twins, they fight before they're even born. The unborn children fight each other over space. You know, if you have the greatest need to eat, like if your household has the greatest need to eat, then it's justifiable to have a larger household income. If the household collectively has the greatest need to eat. But if they have a lesser need to eat, then they wouldn't need as much money. Certain jobs require high-speed internet, literally. The reason we invented the telephone is so we could communicate with others to make sure they're still alive. I wonder if it'd be pretty good if I saw Corpse Grinder's neck at Disney World. I like to joke about his gigantic neck. I like to make neck jokes. The reason we kill the reason people kill each other, same reason animals do. When there's not enough food, nature has ways of controlling the population. Those who have self-entitled kids are more likely to raise future self-entitled children. One thing that is adding fuel to the fire is being born to high-ranking political elites. Being born to government elites is adding fuel to the fire. Like, government elites having a lot of kids is what's adding the fuel to the fire. The reason you ultimately cannot do whatever you want without risking punishment is that there are international laws preventing that. Like, there are laws set by the United Nations. You know, when there's a water war, the one with the greatest need for water to drink, for sanitation and something to drink, are more likely to fight the weaker ones. The wars of the future would be fought over water. And the hotspots for conflict, Florida would probably be a hotspot, because it's mostly swamp. The Mississippi River would be another. The Mississippi River would be another hotspot for conflict. The reason why everybody seems to hate PETA so much, people for the ethical treatment of animals, this is because they want people to put their cats on a vegan diet. Truth is, cats cannot survive on a vegan diet. What PETA's doing is pretty bad. Cats have to have meat in their diet to survive. Cats must eat meat. You know, international law is what makes our freedoms not so free. Because there's something called the Geneva Convention that restricts our freedoms. It's one of those international laws that prevents us from being truly free. And being truly free, you're allowing yourself to violate international law. You're violating you're potentially violating international law. The reason why witchcraft is illegal in the Middle East is because of Sharia law. The First Amendment protects our right to practice witchcraft. Like, if you're practicing witchcraft. Otherwise, if you're a witch or a warlock, don't go to the Middle East, except for Israel, and that's about it. If you're a witch or a warlock, don't go to Saudi Arabia, or any of the Arabic-speaking, the Muslim-majority countries, because you can get executed for practicing witchcraft. In America, you're free to practice witchcraft. If you want. sometimes I like to make jokes about Tom Araya's beard. By referring to him as Heavy Metal Santa Claus, or Heavy Metal Marx, in reference to Karl Marx. Because they both have pretty long beards. They both have the hair. Slayer goes to Disneyland with Jackass. That was back in the 90s. Slayer goes to Disneyland with the Jackass guys. Eventually, when I get enough money, I might think of, like, once I finish conquering Disney World, I'm gonna, my next frontier would be to conquer Disneyland. Disneyland would be my next my nächste frontier. Disneyland would be my next frontier. The first Six Flags park I'm gonna conquer would be Six Flags Over Georgia. I'm not just gonna conquer the Disney parks in America, I'm gonna conquer all the Six Flags parks, and Cedar Fair parks, too. If you're gonna go to a marine... If you're gonna go to an animal theme park, don't go to any animal exhibits unless the animal is is taken care of thoroughly. Sometimes it's good not to take a shower for a couple of days, because it's biologically unnecessary. I'm just checking my time span. And I'm trying... And eventually... Once I finish conquering Disney World, I'd go to Disneyland. Before I go to King's Dominion, I'd have to finish conquering Carowinds. Once I finish conquering Carowinds, I'd conquer King's Dominion. Yes, I'd even ride the Intimidator 305. I gotta take a piss. Back. Much better. Back to game. Now I'm gonna keep going on with... Sometimes I might use some profanity, but that's okay. Even if we stopped being greedy with one another, we'd still have to be greedy when it goes to other animals that like to steal our food, like other wild animals that like to steal our food. That is because, like all animals, we're trying to protect our food supply, but there's simply not enough for every animal. So we compete with other animals. And something called interspecific competition. Our best defense to our food supply, cats. If we got rid of every feral cat, there's going to be problems in our ecosystem. I've seen 32's video called How Are Cats Secretly Keeping Us Alive? I know there are people out there who don't want to pay taxes. There are people out there who want to pay taxes. I get that. The solution to that argument is, what if the state took control of the business and ran a state monopoly? Basically what Norway has. Ironically though, Norway is the most socialist country in the world. Norway is ultimately on the path to achieving true communism. Because the next frontier for the left now is animal rights. Not just... In the early days of the left wing, it was about fighting racism. And workers' rights. It's not just that anymore. It's not just that. Nowadays. The modern day leftists, they're not just about workers' rights and minority and ethnic equality. They're also about getting rid of homophobia. I myself am bisexual and gender neutral. Meaning, I do have some, like, because the goal is, like, if you're gender neutral, ultimately, you're free to, if you want to be free to wear whatever you want, regardless of what gender it's associated with, like, go right ahead. Go right ahead. It's your choice. If it's your hair, you shouldn't be forced to have it cut short. Unless a friend of yours is struggling with cancer. In the world of biology, the ones with the greatest need to eat would be the ones controlling the food supply. My tip to you on how to fight capitalism: one thing you can do to catalyze the fall of capitalism is going vegan. Because capitalism, I blame all the economic problems and animal welfare problems on capitalism. It's not the workers' fault that the farm animals are suffering in large numbers. It's the capitalists' fault for allowing that to happen. Capitalism today produces as much stuff as you want without regards to worker welfare or animal welfare. That is modern day capitalism. You know, money existed long before capitalism did. You know, capitalism, it has a little more equality than slavery or feudalism, but not as much equality as socialism. What we need is a truly equal society, down to the physiological level. How are we going to do that? Tribal mixing can help. So we can have balance. Because what we need is balance. Like, have all the qualities that we all need. I know I'm not trying to be racist or anything. Because I have interracial... interracial family members. I'm not trying to offend any of y'all. The reason why the N-word is so offensive is because of its association with slavery. Sometimes there is a biological need for people to be lazy. Sometimes it's biologically necessary. Because those who sat on their asses and did nothing were the ones that survived the famine. Ironically, though, those who sat around on their asses doing nothing were the ones that survived the famine. If it wasn't for our lazy asses, we would have gone extinct from famine. You know, even though you shouldn't call people an asshole, another definition of an asshole is the anus of a donkey. Get it? Because a donkey's another name for a donkey is an ass. Oops. Good thing I'm in creative mode. Anyways, this is it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked this video. Dislike if you disliked it. Subscribe for more. Follow me on Instagram if you want more content. As always, share this with your comrades on Instagram. And as always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, and